Well, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those that might be joining from different time zones. My name is Sean Allen. I'm a graduate of University of Rochester Simon School, class of 2011, and I'm happy to co-host this with another career coach through University of Rochester here, Susan, which we'll hear from in a couple of minutes as well. So if you don't know, we want to shout out Michelle and the team for allowing this community of folks focused on career progression and professional development to join a very special group that we know. Hopefully, you all are part of the group. But today is something special where we do a career check-in, and we're specifically focusing on elevating your professional brand during a job search. This is one of two that we've done so far. This is the second one that we've hosted on this topic. And if you're not a part of the group, we'll put a link in the chat for the job search and professional development resource group. So we'll put that in the chat for you all to join. And just a quick snippet on that. We have several career coaches that rotate hosting each month where we serve to answer any questions you have. We also provide resources, access to articles, access to blogs, milestone goal setting, mock interviews, all the things that we can use to elevate our career. So make sure you click that link that's in there, the Job Search and Professional Development Resource Group. It's free, and we offer free resources, and you can connect with the full team of career coaches that we are here to drive your success. So, with that being said, my name is Sean Allen. I'm happy to serve as career coach. I focus on goal setting, leadership development, project management consulting. Had opportunity to be a mentor, mentee through our program for several years, and I just love talking to folks one on one and helping you with whatever goals it is, whether it's career, professional, business, things of that nature. So I'll put my stuff in the chat a little later on as well. I'll give a brief overview of today. We've got a decent amount of time, so feel free to post questions in the chat, or we're going to have a working session today. So I'm really excited to walk us through the first, call it 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to focus on one topic regarding LinkedIn and AI, folks that use AI. Anybody use AI in the house? Yeah, I see some heads nodding. All right. So what we'll do is Susan will be leading, giving you some good insights on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, how to present with confidence, how do you brand yourself, how to use the tools, techniques that's in there. So that's going to be interactive. She's going to share a PDF that's going to show some tips, as well as how we could further work on our own LinkedIn profiles on our own. Then we're going to go into our second phase, which will focus on how do we use some of our ChatGPT options, prompts, things of that nature for goal setting or for career progression or professional development as well. And then we'll end with probably about 15 minutes or so of Q&A. All right, how's that sound? Sounds good? All right. All right, so without further ado, I will pass it on to Susan, who will do an intro and then kick us off on our first topic. Oh, Susan, I think you're on mute still. She's doing a practice run before she gets on. There she is.
Hi, everybody. Give me a wave so I know you're alive and excited about the program today. It's good for you, those who are showing your shiny faces. It's always nice to see people's expressions and nods. So I just want to say I need nods because it gives me like a little extra oomph. Thank you. Thank you. And so I have been doing this for over 20 years. I went to University of Rochester's Warner School, and my major was leadership, higher education. My degree is in higher education, so I started in higher ed. Cornell actually was one of my first jobs. I worked for the Department of Ed, the Department of Labor. I worked at the University of Rochester. And so I have a vast background on career. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not a former recruiter. I am not an HR person. I am strictly career. So my company is called Career Forward. And today I hope to share with you all my knowledge of LinkedIn. And I've been a LinkedIn expert now for about 11 years. So if you have any questions, I'll give you my information. Feel free to reach out. And I'm also a national consultant for University of Rochester, and I absolutely love it. And I miss my hometown. So I grew up in Irondequoit. Has anybody heard that term, Irondequoit? I couldn't spell it till I was like 10. But anyway, it's a password of mine mixed with other things, so don't try to steal my information. because nobody can spell it. But anyway, so I'm going to share my screen and please feel free to interrupt verbally. Sometimes I don't see the little question thing, so I'm so focused on the presentation, so feel free to add any stuff. Okay, so we're going to get started. Oh, I'm outside of Cleveland, by the way, so if you're in Cleveland, let me know. Can everybody see my screen okay? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great, perfect. So there's us. You'll see us on LinkedIn. You'll see us on the website for University of Rochester alumni. And so what we're going to talk about today is your professional brand and LinkedIn. Hold on one second. So LinkedIn, you will never win this argument for me, is where you should be looking for jobs and where you should be connecting with people. And as you know, LinkedIn is, over 1 billion users. This keeps growing. It's crazy that it's 1 billion now. And oh, sorry. Can you still see my screen?
We see your screen, but we lost your
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
let me try that again. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So, 1.3 million feed updates are viewed every minute. So that means, it can help you brands increase their reach and also recruiters. It's the #1 tool for recruiters to use to find you. So we're going to talk about a lot about that today. And of course, it's the oldest, which makes me sound old too. Uh, I can't believe it's 22 years. So I've been trained since 2007. So maybe it's a little longer than I thought. And then Google has the highest LinkedIn following for an organization. So you need to be on there, and there's a method and a madness to my recommendations. Um, oops, I couldn't do my PowerPoint. Sorry, guys. So your professional brand on LinkedIn, I call it your business card. It's your professional brand. It's your electronic handshake. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over settings to get the most exposure, to make sure recruiters can get a hold of you, and your announcement open to work. So we're going to talk about all that today. Sorry, guys. Oh, all right, so I'm going to go live for you. And what we're going to do is I want to make sure all of you, and I'm looking at you intently, do not open up your LinkedIn profile. Do not try to make changes while I'm talking. Please nod your head to those who are, because you will not remember what I said. Even though this is recorded, I want you to focus on the information. So that's my yelling. I'm from New York originally, so I'm right in your face, right? Okay. I love Sierra. She's like laughing and everything. So, okay. So I'm going to share my screen again. And we're going to go to LinkedIn. Share. I promise this will be smoother going forward, guys. All right. So when we go to LinkedIn, it's really important that you understand if you're not on there, it's pretty easy to get started.
We're not seeing it yet. You know that, right?
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
My goodness gracious. There we go. Okay. So when we talk about LinkedIn, we're going to spend most of the time on our profile. And I'll send you a link to my information. But this is what I call your business card from here up. So it's just like handing someone a business card, except for we don't use those anymore. We use hashtags, or if you're going to a job fair or something, take pictures of people's name tags so they don't have their phone handy, but there really aren't any business cards anymore. So I have my name, and this is my little company. You don't have to put anything here. And then this is what I do. This is my main area of expertise. And then I have, you can do 4 or 5 of your top areas of expertise, and everyone has top areas of expertise. And then I have my phone number. I do put the one because I work internationally, and my email address. And people are like, why do you put your phone number there? Because I need people to get a hold of me. And LinkedIn does a pretty good job of spam, but I'd rather get a spam call than no call at all. Okay. Everybody understand that? Any questions from there? Okay. So again, we call this an electronic handshake, right? So when you reach out to me, I put my name, I put every credential that I have, although I didn't put my bachelor's, but my latest degree. If you have any certifications, you're going to put it there because that, even though people might think it's pretentious, it tells recruiters what it is that you hold. Okay. And then these are your top areas of expertise. And what's wonderful is you can get 4 lines. So the pipe is how you divide them, no comma anymore. So I have this because I'm always looking, this is my company, right? But career transition expert, executive coaching, LinkedIn SME, outplacement practitioner, which means I help companies fire employees and then I help them. Curriculum development delivery, higher education, employee and faculty engagement. So this is what I do. Okay. Any questions so far on this part of it? No, we're good? Okay.
I do have a question.
Sure.
How do you determine what your 5 areas of expertise are?
That's a great question. So you should already know that. And so on your resume, and resumes are new now, we won't get into that today, but really the top of your resume has your title of what you do, and then your top 3 areas of expertise. So for me, I would put workforce development, consulting, executive career coaching, and LinkedIn expert. So those are my 3 top areas of expertise. So what people do is find their top 5 or 10 things that they do. So even though you're not an expert at it, they know what you're good at. Does that make sense? So for people like I have an accountant, they could put 22 or any type of career could put like 20 up there, but you don't want to. You want to highlight the ones that you want to do that you're good at. And if you're seeking a new position, you can also put them up there too. But it has to be transferable skills type of thing, if that makes any sense. That's a great question. This is hard, you know.
Thank you.
You can put in your resume in ChatGPT and say, "Hey ChatGPT, what are my top areas of expertise for my resume?" And they will kind of let you know that, which is great. There's a comment there? No? Okay,
No, that
great.
was my comment telling people they could put comments in the chat if they're unable to mute. So they're welcome to put those in and I'll let you know if there's one in there.
Great.
That was Michelle.
Okay, so we're going to go back. And now the next phase I'm going to show you, and it's on my PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to pull that up really quickly again to give you an example. So we're going to talk about your settings, okay? So I have a great example. This is one of my candidates. She's fabulous. I'm not crazy about the dark background, but I love what she did here. So this kind of gives you insight. She also put a 1 there, which is kind of cool. I think it makes you look international. You know, where she went to school. If you're working now, that will be above your school, but that gives you an idea. So that's in the presentation that I'll be sending you guys, just to let you know. All right. So now we're going to go to the settings on our, so you can still see my LinkedIn, correct? Yes, everybody? Yes? Great. Okay. So now we're going to go to the settings part. All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go to our contact information and we're going to make sure everything is in there. I like people to wish me happy birthday, so I put it in there. I used to have a company email, but people just want to contact me directly, but I would put my company email in there too. And if you have a website or a social link, you can put it there, but this needs to be filled out. The other thing really quickly is right here on public profile URL. If your profile, if you haven't customized it, it would say this and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3. And so you can customize it by clicking on here and editing your URL. And I always recommend using the same identifiers as your email address, which by the way, your email should be your first and last name when you're sending anything around. Okay. So now this is, how many people follow me, how many connections. You can look through those. We're not going to talk about that today. But what we're going to talk about is this right here, this open to work. And this is also in the presentation, but I want to show you live. This is super duper important, this and this. So if we go to this setting, this is super impactful. You can pick 5 job titles, okay? I should have outplacement on here. I keep switching it because I'm training all the time, but you put 5 there and they're pre-made, so you got to find one that works for you. But I would put like career services, and then you can find director under that bib. So if I get rid of this and I try to add a title, I'll say it might not have outplacement. It doesn't, but let's see if it saves it. I don't know if it will. Oh, it did. Okay. So we're going to go back to this box. Oh, it didn't. So I have to add a title that's pre-made. And then your location type is super important on site. Remember, if you put this down there, because I can be on site locally, which kind of defeats the purpose, but I still put it up there, hybrid and remote. Okay. And one word about hybrid, folks, don't let that hybrid word scare you, because it could be hybrid where you're in the office 2 days a month or once a quarter. So make sure, I would definitely have this engaged. And then on-site, Cleveland, remote, Greater Cleveland. You can add locations, say you want to move or relocate. And locations remote, which is kind of funny. I just do the same thing, Cleveland and remote. All right, this is your start date. I always say immediately because I'm always taking on clients. And then this, guys, is super duper important. You want to click all of these except internship, because you never know. Lots of companies hire, try and buy. They want to see that you can do the work and hire you. Some companies have a policy where they have to hire people 3 months before they can put on. So make sure all of these are engaged except for internships. This opens recruiters to see a lot more. And then what I'm going to show you here is recruiters only for when you're making if you're updating. But then when you turn on this, you get this, what we used to call the ring of shame. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my presentation and show you another great example of this. So if we go down, I call it the ring of shame. Can everyone see that? Yes? Michelle? Great.
Yes.
And so this is going to be around your little face, okay? Open to work. And it's in. People used to be embarrassed to do it. If you're going covert and looking for your next job, then you don't put that on there. But it's very, very important. So we already went through types of companies. Well, we're going to go. So the next one I'm going to show you is an announcement. So if you change this, it's going to give you an opportunity to announce. And I can't tell you how important it is to announce that you're looking for work. So this is an example of one of my clients, and it's really cheerful. After an incredible journey leading AML, oh, I should have put that in there, but you don't know who it is. I now find myself navigating the job market. Over the years, I've grown my career as a technical program manager, product leader, taking roles as RAT. I don't even know what that means. So she's put out there the beginning of her announcement, but there's more. In that same announcement, underneath this little paragraph about yourself and what you're doing, is I'm excited about the opportunity to continue new roles such as, and she puts the titles of what she's looking for, which is fabulous. And then I might put a space here. My passion, expertise lie in leading, delivering at scale, fast-paced, agile environments through this and through this. She also puts her data stuff, which she's good at. I would also put here what type of companies you're looking for, automotive, marketing. I think that's very helpful too. And then this person is multilingual, which is great. I would definitely put that in there if you are. And then the closing on the same is wonderful. How you can help. When people want to help you, they don't know how, and you're telling them to, right? So if you know of opportunities or have advice to share, that's great, right? And then this open to work. So what's really important is reach out to those shares, those open to work. And this person is 39 people that liked it and 13 reposts. So if I go to LinkedIn and I'll look at one of my posts, I can see, okay, so I had 37 people like this and 6 comments. So if I'm looking for a job and I put this open to work, I am definitely going to see who liked it and who reposted it, and say I haven't talked to them in a super, super long time. Like Bob, I haven't talked to in years. I might be like, hey, Bob, what's going on? I saw you saw my post and shared it. I really appreciate it. I would love to have coffee with you to get your help and advice, not to see who they know. It doesn't matter if Bob works at a company that you want to work with or he's just very well suited, well connected, right? So, and then I'm going to reach out to all of these people, look how many there are, and find out what they're doing and thank them for liking my post and catch up with them. Some of these people are very, very high, or lateral, but it's a way to get to know, to reach out to people like, oh, Michelle did. Thanks, Michelle. But I haven't seen this in a long time. I haven't worked with this guy in 10 years. Wonderful. John, I haven't talked to in a long time. Interesting. So, does that make sense, everyone? Does that make sense to reach out to everybody and their brother? Okay. So, that open to work, which used to be the ring of shame. Has anybody heard that ring of shame, or am I just introducing that term to you? Sorry if you didn't know that phrase. But it is important, the open to work, to put that on there. Okay. And I think I'm out of time. Do I have time to show a couple settings? Oh, I have a minute.
Yeah, I think yeah, another minute or two. If you
Yeah,
want to
so let
show
me
the
just
settings, I think that'd be
yeah,
good
let
to
me
see.
just go there because this is kind of important too. It's a little bit of safety. Um, but when you're on your LinkedIn profile, can everybody see it? Audible, yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay, great,
thank you.
thanks. So if I go to my profile, and this is just little things I want to show you. So in order to kind of rank down on the garbage that you get, you're always going to go to this me button. This is kind of like your background. And we're always going to go to settings and privacy. And the two things I'm going to focus on today, you want to do all this. Visibility is very important. I'm always on private mode because I do a lot of stuff, but you should always be this. I don't like this alias. I think that's really funny characteristics, but you should always have this engaged. But if you're looking at someone that you don't want them to know you're looking at them, if you don't have premium, you can still go to private mode for at least 40 minutes before they kick you back. Okay. But this is the two. Data privacy, go through each and one of these. I am very national. I'm very national about everything that I do. However, this stuff I'm not. So in all my settings, I want everybody to see it. I want to be as public as possible. Okay. Now, this is the most important too. This takes you about 5 minutes. Turn every single one of these advertisements off. It doesn't help you in your job search. It just promotes more garbage. Okay, so this data privacy and advertising data. And then really quick with your visibility, you can go down to here, share changes, job education, and work anniversaries. You can turn that off because if you don't, everyone will get Susan just added, customer service to her skills. So I'm just more concerned about this. This is just a little hint, but make sure you're going over all these. So I could talk about this forever and ever, but I can't. But did it help you guys a little bit? I hope it helped you a little bit to kind of look at this. And I'm going to hand it over to Sean, who's going to talk about ChatGPT and getting connected and introducing yourself. And again, reach out to me. We'll be answering questions after Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Wow, that was wonderful. I even know that I need to upgrade my LinkedIn profile based upon some of your things. And you
We
told me
can
about it, Susan.
barter.
You
We
said
can
it.
barter,
It looks
Sean.
okay.
We can barter.
Oh, thank you. All right. So mine is fun as well. I am going to share my screen and Just kind of walk through some things here. I'll make a couple of disclaimers, of course. One, hopefully everyone has had the opportunity to use some AI. I've been using Grammarly. Anybody heard of Grammarly before? Okay, Grammarly. I've been using Grammarly for like 10 plus years before the whole movement of generative AI was really growing in the past couple of years. So I'm kind of used to having help writing things as a tool and as a technique. And so what we want to talk about today is some cool things, some cool prompts that we've used as career coaches or just as professionals. So just to kind of walk you through, obviously, remember, ChatGPT, Gemini, Bard, Copilot, all these AI technologies, they're fed information, and when you're asking questions into the prompt, it's creating information based upon the information that was fed. So it's a little bit different than doing a Google search, where a Google search often is pulling from, ads, sponsored ads, news, or those that have higher rankings, right? So it's a little bit different thought as you start to type in information here. I use it all the time. So, this is just, if you see my screen, I'm on it probably about 3 or 4 hours a day and do about 15 or 20 different types of prompts. And so we want to give you a live one here on career progression or career planning or resume tweaking or whatever it may be. And let's just hop into it. So often folks say, I want to get a new job. I want to get a promotion. Or I want to get ready for an interview or whatever it may be. I want to take maybe a step back a little bit and let's talk about how do we approach career searching, whether it's progression, whether it's a new role, whether it's what Susan said earlier, tweaking your LinkedIn, your documents, your cover letter, your resume. So I want to start with goal setting first. So I see some folks on here, Jay, Sierra, Karen, some familiar names. This is wonderful. So feel free to put some prompts in the chat if you are thinking about doing something live here while we're doing it. So I am interested in how do I actually put together a 30, 60, 90-day goal plan, or what are some goals for me to get that next opportunity. So if I just put in just a prompt here, it's going to pull information just from this prompt and give me an answer. But I want to take that next level. So Susan brought up a good idea earlier about uploading a resume.
And
So I want to
Sean,
do that.
can you zoom in a little bit on your
Oh yeah,
presentation?
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let me know if that is a little bit better. Okay, thank you so much. All right. So what I decided to do now is if I upload a document and then I ask it a prompt, not only is the system going to pull from its information that was fed, but it's also going to pull and review the document and create some magical information. You ready to see what it comes up with? Let's see what it says. Remember, it may not be 100% factual, but it's going to give you some information, okay? So I'm not going to go through a lot of this here, but it gives you 30 days focusing on building foundation, clarifying expectation, align your skills, employer needs, right? Understanding landscape. This is all good stuff, right? I mean, it talks about refreshing my PMP knowledge. It's got real programs right from my resume on here. Alumni network. This is great. It gives me a 60-day layout. Look at this. This is what Susan was talking about. Thought leadership sharing 2 to 3 LinkedIn posts, right? Demonstrating insights. So this is all good stuff, right? So use this as a tool to say, okay, over the next, call it 3 months, here's some things I can use on my situation, task, action, result, interviewing style. If we don't know what it is, we can ask what the STAR method is, right? How do we focus on quantitative milestones? Should I aim to have at least 2 to 3 interviews in the late stages within the next 3 months? So this is one prompt. Now, let me do this too. At the end of this prompt, often the system will ask you, do you want a visual or do you want it in a table? Things of that nature. I would love a table format actually. So if I just say table and I hit enter, it'll give me a table option, or sometimes I'll do Google Sheet, right? And it may do that. I'm going to pause it because it's freezing a little bit. But if I do Google Sheet, it can put it in a downloadable Google Sheet version that I could share and update if I wanted a Word version. I've even seen someone ask the ChatGPT or Gemini or Bard, hey, can you put together a series of calendar invites or a series of reminders in an app called Notion to put together these reminders on how I can stay on task with my 30, 60, 90-day goal plan. And there it is. If I click this, it'll give me an Excel spreadsheet and it looks beautiful. So I had posted earlier in the month something similar to this. If someone was looking for how they could improve their project management skills in a very technical field. And we did this together. And we literally came up with a RACI chart, responsible, accountable, consult, inform, as well as a 30, 60, 90-day plan. So I'll pause there and see what questions you may have. Okay. All right. No questions so far. Okay, this is too easy. Love it. All right, so now let's do something different. Susan brought up a great idea. I think maybe it was Sierra. I forget who asked the question, but how to identify what my top three areas of expertise of key skills are based on my resume. Well, let's just ask the system. It already has my resume, right? And it tells me project and operations leadership. I love that. Spot on. And it gives you description. Business and financial management. I love it. It's great. I do need to save more, but it's okay. And client engagement, strategic communication. Those are top three, right? And so I can take this output and go right to my LinkedIn profile and say, okay, if I agree with these and I've got some details surrounding it, these can be my top three key attributes or top three area focuses or areas of expertise. Okay. So that's a live one there. I
There's a
want to do another one here that's a
there's
little
a
bit more
question that
detailed.
came in, Sean.
Sure. What do we have here?
Do you
Let's
see it?
see.
How much personal information goes into ChatGPT? Someone suggested to avoid entering personal identifying info for data privacy reasons.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, two things on that because I use AI for corporate uh, means as well. So let's start from the corporate perspective. You don't want to put confidential information in there. You don't want to put actual real numbers in there. On a personal level, yeah, the recommendations against addresses, against like even with my name, I just use my name, just my first name. They don't really need to know my last name typically. Um, you also don't want to put any information. Well, a lot of links. If you put links in there, it could sometimes throw off the algorithm because if I ask for ChatGPT to provide sources for this information, sometimes it makes up sources and things of nature. And if you have links in your documents that you upload, it may reference those links. And when you go to those links might not actually um, pull to real sources, obviously. So you want to be careful of links and personal information and confidential information, and also financial numbers from companies. Hmm. Another question.
Andrew,
Any other
oh, you see
questions?
it?
I love it. Yep, I do. You don't have to include name. Love it. Thank you, Susan. Are you using the free or paid version? Yes, so I'm using the paid version, which is I think number five. Four is I'm not sure if four is free or not. Um, but yeah, I pay $20 a month, I believe it is or so.
Yeah, I don't
What I've seen,
pay. Yeah, I don't pay, and neither do my job seekers usually because it's so
yeah,
what we're looking up is so basic.
yeah. There's a lot of complex things here on the paid version. Like I don't know codecs and those type of things. But anybody, even if you don't even set up an account, if you just go like similar to Gemini, if you just type in an email address, create an account for free, Gemini, if it's Google's brand, you can use Gemini for free as well. And I use both just because the the information behind the scenes is a little bit different on both, and I like to see the different styles, two different tools. But good question. All right. Any other questions so far? Got one or two more prompts to hop in. All right. Thank you, Susan, for helping me out with the chat. I can't really see it, so I know how that is. Another one that came up is, and this is a really good one. Thank you, Susan, for her executive leadership experience. I often don't know who's looking for you, or how do you find the folks who may be looking for you as well. So I thought these are some good prompts we talked about. I'm just going to type it in. What if you want a list of companies that hire professionals with your experience? Okay, that's going to give us a big list, possibly. Oh, look at this, industry and sectors, even a why. So they took it to the next level. General, oh, general contract. This is, and for me, knowing the industry, this is 100% for everything I see. This is 95, 100% spot on. Like this is great. And I think to take this to the next level is maybe I don't want to work for the big companies, right? What if I want to tweak this a little bit and say mid-sized companies? Oh, this is great. Let's see what it comes up because I've always liked that close-knit feel. And it's pulling some companies here. I'm familiar with DPR construction. Oh, Skanska. Oh yeah, Skanska. I'm a big, huge fan. Hensel Phelps, I used to work for them. How crazy is that? So anyway, one thing that I want to show you here is this one prompt is building upon this initial prompt here and this initial document uploaded. So you want to be careful of that because if I come in here and I want to do something else that's a totally different topic, like provide information, or I would say provide a calendar of events to attend related to fitness. Yeah, I just happen to be a different day. It's going to it's telling me it has to think now because it's like so far we've been talking career stuff, right? We're in the career resource group. Now you're asking me about diet. It has to think a little bit. One recommendation I always do is try to keep these topics together and separate. So groceries for health, I should probably, if I were to click that and ask something related to fitness, it would take the information that we've been discussing regarding groceries for health purposes. And if I asked it something about fitness, it would look at that groceries for health, that whole chat or collaboration, and then provide some fitness things. Okay, so I'll wrap up in about 2 minutes and run short on time. Another thing I like to do here, I just learned this from last week, Susan. I don't know if you used it before. Um, but you can go in here and you can say based on our history. So of course, history. History is me and the system's collaboration. What are my top strengths? No, you know what? Anybody get that question? What are some of your weaknesses? All right. What are some of my weaknesses? Uh-huh. That I can discuss in an interview. Oh, come on. I'm being vulnerable now, y'all. You ready? You're gonna see it. I'm just gonna show it on the screen. All right, good question. Look at this. So look, wow. I definitely, yeah, delegation overextension. It's pulling information from the prompts that I put in the past, and it's answering my question. Perfectionism, and I don't know about that per se. But maybe learning to say no. Oh, yes. How many times, Susan, do they ask you to sign up for something? You're like, yes, yes, yes. All right. Love it. Okay. So I'll kind of pause it there. Hopefully there's three things you learned. It's just an overview a little bit of how you can use it for goal setting or how you can upload docs and then ask the specific questions, knowing that all the chat that I put in here is related to just where this first prompt comes, right? If I'm talking 36 90-day plan and I'm putting something career related, it's going to pull all that information. But if I decide to go something that's totally off, you might want to start a new chat. And it saves all of these here. Saves all of these here. So I will end it there. I hope that gives you a little bit to hopefully play around with. We'll post our information in the chat. And the goal is what I like to do is a free PM session, a project management session, 20 minutes if you have a problem or challenge and you want to work through it, whether it's AI, whether it's professional, whether it's career. Set up a calendar meeting with me or send me a message, an email or something. Email
Ready,
me, mail me,
go.
and let's talk more about it.
I have a
Jay,
question, Sean, really quick.
go ahead.
Um, when you save it, where does it go? When you
Save
save,
what?
so remember how you said you can save all of this? How do I go back to that?
Oh, great, great question.
Can you share
So
again?
yes, let me know when it's up, hopefully. Okay. So the way the ChatGPT looks, you have this open sidebar.
Right?
If you click that, you
Uh-huh.
see these chats,
Uh-huh.
right? Make sure that chat is unclicked. And here's all my chats.
So it just stays there?
It just stays there. Now, you can delete them as well if you'd like to. All you do is you just click that right there. You can rename it, archive, and delete, and it deletes it.
Okay, okay.
Okay. There's another thing called projects. That's a little bit the next level. We can talk about that next time. But yeah, all your chats, just ask any questions, upload documents. Um, deep research is a newer one as well, but it gets a little more advanced.
And I just
All
want to
right.
add to that, one of the Chat GPT questions you can ask is, can you give me a list of recruiting companies that hire product managers? And you have to be technical product or product managers, and it'll show you like the Big Ten, like Deloitte, all that stuff. But if you say mid-sized companies, it'll give you a smaller, more niche. And sometimes don't be scared that a company is only 2 to 10 people. I worked for a private HR firm, and there was only 11 of us, and our recruiters handled all over the country, and also often have exclusive rights to that. So, and you can also say, can you give me the name of recruiting companies that hire people like me? And they're more up to talk with you. But the next time we meet, I'll talk about how to reach out to people. It sounds like we have to have another one, Sean.
I love
I
it.
love it. Yeah, because they really do link up. So anyway, now we're going to open to, oh, and by the way, I offer a free half-hour session to find out what your goals are in job seeking and all that stuff, or
I'll
career
make
change.
I'll make sure that we send out something to everybody who attended today. So I know that
Excellent.
also Sean and Susan are putting their LinkedIn and other ways to connect with them in the chat. Um, we do have a couple of questions that came in ahead of time, but I wanted to give preference to people who are here on the call. Oh, I see David Henry has a question here. David,
I
you
can
can
read it if
unmute
you
your,
want.
yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. That's great.
So I'm working on growing a graphic design studio that's focused on professional services, real estate, hospitality. So this is a LinkedIn focused question, which is any recommendations for sticking with free versus using professional or even Sales Navigator?
You can answer that, Sean. I think everything
Okay.
you should use is free. But I do
Yep.
recommend LinkedIn Premium, though. It's buy one, get one free. I wish I get commission on it. If you're on it all the time for your career, buy it for the year. It's so much more economical. But go ahead, Sean. This is kind of in your
Yeah.
field.
I love it. So I've used free and LinkedIn Premium. I recommend you, if you're pretty aggressive at trying to get the next opportunity within 30 to 60 days, I recommend you try to look into LinkedIn Premium because often they'll give you a free month. And after that free month, I think it's 20 or $30 per month. I think it's extremely valuable for LinkedIn Premium because when you apply to roles, not only do you often have a person that you can connect with, like maybe a recruiter or somebody, but they give you additional insights like how you stack up against other competition, like degrees, education,
And
experience.
it shows
Also,
like, are you a good fit for a job? How can I
mhm,
rewrite this? Can you write a cover letter? Which I will
yeah,
definitely send out with Michelle a couple of documents that I recommend. But yeah, the
mhm,
buy one, get one free. And sometimes you can cancel it at the end of your free and they'll offer it to you even cheaper. So you can chat GPT,
yeah,
like, how do I get a discount on LinkedIn by canceling or something like that. But so
yeah,
as far as,
exactly.
and David, you're looking for specific programs that you're looking for free? Can you be a little more?
No, so again, I'm not necessarily looking for a job. I'm more looking for clients and customers and growing networks that way. And I do social media management for
Oh,
firms,
cool.
and I have one client where I'm doing their social media management. So that is why I'm a little bit more thinking about Sales Navigator. But curious where
I'd love to
you're,
talk to you about that. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, curious where what you're doing, which is a little bit more sales directed of what you're, yeah, how you're using it and if it's worth it. And it sounds like premium for sure. And I need to ask ChatGPT about Sales Navigator.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about it too. We can talk about that if you rope into a one-on-one call, but
Okay.
I have a lot of opinions about that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Lauren, do you have a question?
I do. Thanks so much. Yeah, Susan and Sean, thanks so much for the talk today. I thought both the LinkedIn side and kind of like dragging AI into that was also really helpful. I have a question more for you, Susan. So I'm a recent graduate and I'm kind of starting out in the job force after a year as like in a fellowship. So I'm like entering this so like job market right now. I haven't really posted on LinkedIn before. I'm not a huge LinkedIn person. So is there any way that you would suggest kind of like starting to build your LinkedIn presence, especially as someone with not that much experience in the past that I can kind of draw from, and also like how to like not make it sort of like awkward or like feel forced. Do you have any kind of like advice for that?
Yeah, well, whenever you post on LinkedIn and you reach out to people, it is forced, and that's okay. That's our day today, right? So one of the things I like newbies, I call you guys newbies, to do is to either repost an article and give your comments about it. Just make sure it has no political, religious, or I'm sorry to say, it has to be, Miss America World Peace kind of posting. That's what I say. And also, that's a nice way to start. The other way is to join groups and organizations of what you do, and we'll cover that on the next LinkedIn. There are so many groups and organizations that you can join, introduce yourself to the moderators, and also share what they're doing and your experience of maybe being in this club or organization. The other thing you can do is what I learned in my fellowship. Fellowships are not easy to get, and that's a wonderful thing to do for people who are looking for fellowships, for professors that want to read about that stuff. So I think it's all good, and you can use your work history can be your your fellowship was a job. You were paid, I think. Well, no, my son wasn't paid. He wasn't paid, I don't think. But anyway, um, so yes. And then if you did stuff at school, you're just coming out of undergrad or grad, you can mention on I had groups and organizations. I was Miss Rarari student government. I got to travel, I thought I was Miss Cool Thing. I think that's why I became a college counselor. But yeah, so I don't know about writing yourself unless it's something about what you really love, right? But share some articles and maybe comment on them to your experience. But as a job seeker, you're not doing a lot of posting. Especially do not post on your job search experience because I don't know why people do that. Yeah. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much. I'll put that
Uh-huh.
into practice. Thanks.
Does anybody else have a question? I have a question here that came in ahead of time that I was going to ask about transitioning jobs and industry. So a lot of times people talk about LinkedIn and also using ChatGPT to help when they're changing industry to highlight those transferable skills. How do you how do you manage that on LinkedIn so that all of your work experiences in a different industry? How do you suggest kind of I don't know what you want to say,
I know what you're
repackaging
saying.
yourself,
Yeah, to kind
branding
of
yourself?
reintroduce yourself or reinvent yourself. So another tip that I have, and you guys are going to roll your eyes, but every one of you should have no less than 60 skills, 60 in your
Mhm.
profile. And when you start to type in a word like customer, it'll come up with like 18 million things. And unfortunately, you cannot hold the shift key and select several. You have to do each and every one. And so by exploring that and again, joining groups and organizations of what you want to be doing is very helpful. Find a mentor that you can reach out to in these groups and organizations. But the skills, and there's another section that nobody does, but you should, it's a project section. So if you can put a project that's transferable, when you're young, you can change jobs. It's harder if you've been working for 25 years and you're an accountant and you want to become a horse trainer. You know what I mean? Like to change, you kind of yam who you yam at that point. I hate to say it, but when you're younger or under 20, 30 years, unless you change your career, it's something different because you have all those transferable skills. So I think on LinkedIn, it's skills that are transferable, no less than 60, especially someone like Sean. If he has less than 60, I'm going to punch him in the face because he needs to have a lot more than that. And by the way,
Guilty.
recruiters find you by your skills, not by your work history. They find your skills and then they look at your profile, just to let you know.
Yeah, and I'll chime in on that too as well.
Yeah.
Because I kind of did some career transitions. I was in project management, and then I went to real estate and consulting, and then pretty much like chief operating officer role. And I think what Susan said about the projects is spot on. Folks see your LinkedIn profile and they might gloss over the business card section, the summary, and see, oh, wow, you're well connected or you're in these groups. And then featuring projects gives you the opportunity that a resume does not give you that opportunity. You can
And
have
the other
links,
thing, yes, the
websites,
other,
pictures,
yep,
media.
yep, media attached all. And the other thing that you can do, which is wonderful, especially for anyone, is to flag participants, colleagues,
Hmm,
big wigs that you worked with. When you flag them, their little faces come up and it's like a character reference. Okay. So the projects, if you flag your professor, if you flag the CEO of the company, if you worked in, if you flag a colleague, if you flag somebody you worked overseas with, it's
hmm,
so cool. And shame on me, I have none because I don't have enough time to tie my shoe on LinkedIn, let alone do that. But make sure you are posting, yes, media, all that. But then who else, bigwigs that can vouch for you, you know?
that's good. I
I
don't
get
even
so
have that one,
excited.
Susan.
I get so excited. I'm a geek.
Okay, another question. So we've been hearing a lot about how AI is very, oh wait, let's do no, no.
Yeah,
I'd rather you ask your question because you're here. Go ahead.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, thank you. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No worries.
Um, my question, kind of similar to the last question asked about transitioning between industry. I guess the flip side to that is transitioning from academia to industry. I think to provide a brief overview, like right now I'm working in clinical research coordination, also a recent grad. Just finished a research fellowship and now transitioning to clinical research. And I think long term, really interested in like project management and
Mm.
like going down the healthcare consulting route with just that experience of working on multiple projects in academia. So I guess with transitioning from academia to industry, what are tips on, I guess, planning for that? Because I've learned the interview process is a lot different. Certifications required for that too. And I guess I'll definitely, Sean, with what you mentioned about a 30, 60, 90-day plan, that's
So
something I plan to
awesome.
go back and do. But I guess just more tips on planning for that transition and getting that head start.
I love that. Well, shout out to you, past chapter president Nesby there. I would say you utilizing those professional connections that you have. You presented some research, I think, recently you mentioned. And so there was an organization
Yeah.
associated with that. Was it AAP or I forget
And
the,
I'm actually at a conference now, presenting later
yes.
today as well.
Yes. So I know we didn't talk about networking much, but I can tell you the truth. And you and I, we've talked in the past. But the role I'm in now as COO came directly from being involved with conventions and volunteering and serving on boards that allow me to be in a different pool of business leaders and decision makers and hiring managers that led to professional opportunities other than just applying. So I think you're on the right track as you utilize the organizations that you have a solid foundation in. Like right now, I serve as the ambassador for the programming for NSB and LA Professionals organization. So if you're not connected with the LA Professional connection with NSB, that's just one of a plethora of 5 or 6 organizations you can be connected with, and then have these conversations with those who have kind of been there, done that, or are there where you want to go. Then you'll be able to figure out how to better tailor out of maybe the academia approach to the more professional or corporate America or startup or business approach because the lingo is different. And like you said, you're right. You know, we've talked about the PMP and things of that nature. It's just a little bit different getting certifications and or licenses that are applicable to the role you're seeking versus in the academia world, it might be more focused on the research and the theoretical side. So build that network and then work with us on career coaches on how to build that network specifically for each of the organizations or people that you know in your network.
The other thing is to make sure you're part of those national organizations on LinkedIn, like NSB or whatever. The other thing I want to say is you can put in your summary about you, it's about section, that you're making the transition from academia into, I don't know if you want to say corporations, but you could say institutions or firms or companies, because it's nice to put that in there. So, and again, in your open to work announcement, you're going to say, I'm making the exciting transition from this to this. And here's the type of work I'm looking for in these areas and these types of industries. Make sense? It's scary. It's scary. It
Okay.
is super scary.
And I think a follow-up to that is, are there certain, I guess, with LinkedIn profiles, is there an industry style LinkedIn profile versus an academia style LinkedIn profile and a
There
way you
really
want
isn't
to?
anymore. There really
Okay.
isn't anymore. It's just my employers happen to be colleges and universities in my past, right?
Mhm.
So no, it's really not. And for those of you who put your education first on your resumes that you're young, I don't know if I love that still, because I'd like to see what you're about before your education. I've always felt that way. So even my son, before he graduated from college, I'm like, Patrick, this is all wrong. He's like, that's not what career service. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll listen to your mom. But yes, I do think putting your clubs and organizations are your work experience right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay,
Looks like we're getting out of time
Thank
here.
we
you.
are running out of time, but I do want to ask the question that Andrew had here just really quickly. And then if people do have to leave right at 1 o'clock, we do appreciate you spending your lunch hour or early hours if you're on the West Coast with us. And I'm going to thank Sean and Susan just in case people drop off. I see a couple people did have to leave, but we do appreciate your presentation as it's really super helpful, and I appreciate your attention to these questions. So Andrew, I don't know if you're still are you still on the call with us? Oh, he might have left.
Yes,
Oh, there you are. Do you want to ask your question?
sure. So it was just about the length of time to keep the most recent job. If so, let's say I left a job recently, someone had mentioned keep that on LinkedIn for like 6 months to rank higher on recruiter searches. So I just want to know your opinion on that.
I think that you should end your job if it's ended, because it's better to look like a free agent than it is to be working. There's a big thing about 20 years ago that said, where they used to ask, what happened between 2021 and 2022? They don't ask that anymore because layoffs are so prevalent that it's okay to end that work experience. And when you go into LinkedIn, there's a little carrots, and there you can relist your work experience. So like I work for a contracting company and I also work for myself. So I have my company first and then second is that company. Is that what you're asking, Andrew?
Yes, essentially. The suggestion was that the LinkedIn algorithm ranks higher if you're currently employed, basically, so that it's like a technique to improve the algorithm chances of getting contacted by a recruiter.
I think your skills are the number one way for algorithms to be found. Now, if you're on Severance, some people stretch that out, but I don't know. I like the free agent part. Plus, remember, you're going to be reaching out to recruiters too, and I'm going to tell you how to do that awful. I'd rather rake everybody's leaves, pick up their trash, than do, uh, hi, recruiter, I'm writing to introduce myself. I'm really interested in working at your company, but it could really foster some great conversation and great networking.
Okay, Sean, did you have anything to add to that before we go to the very last, just a clarification question that came in from Lauren
No,
a
no, that was
while
good. Thank you.
ago? And I just wanted to make sure that we said when tagging people, like you just were talking about Susan, so this was a while ago, is
Yep.
that directly in the project section or is that a post you write yourself?
So I can show you really quick. Is that okay, guys? It's so much easier to show you. Um, so if I go to my LinkedIn profile, can you see my LinkedIn profile, everybody?
Yeah.
Great. And I go down, it's either up here at the top or right here, which is add profile section. And there's so many things you can do here, but here's this third one down that says add projects. So I put the project name, and a lot of times I don't put the company because it's NDA, non-disclosure. So I can put like I did train the trainer nationally for this organization. So I could say train the trainer, blah blah blah. I can put the thing in there and then the description. And I don't really think you need to add skills to that, but you can add media and then the date and the time and then add contributor. So if I add contributor, I can put in Michelle. Oops.
A lot of Michelle's.
Anyway, I have a lot of Michelles. But if I can click Michelle and then she can be a contributor and it saves it. So and I think they get an indicator that you're linking up with them, but it's just, I have people, I'll show you one of my favorite
So they don't have to give you permission?
no, which is weird. I think they do. So this is Alvaro. I don't like his background. He didn't listen to me. This is a wonderful, wonderful LinkedIn profile. But because he's a PhD and still doing research and, he worked at colleges and universities. But if you look at his project section, this is ridiculous, but good for some of you. He puts every publication that he worked on. And when he links up with people, these are some big wigs in his arena. I mean, this is a large, large, super large company. Sometimes with the chief, with the C-suite positions, I always like to see, what kind of company they're on. But these are probably students, right? And I'm almost sure they get a flag. They do get a flag if you ask them for a recommendation. So that's what I mean. Does that answer your question?
That was for Lauren.
Oh,
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thanks so much. There's
okay,
like
great.
ways to tag people, so that was very helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I think we have to kind of wrap it up today. I really appreciate again Susan and Sean for being here today and for all of you sharing your lunch hour with us. So thank you very much for the check-in. See you next time.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Have a
Thank you
good
so
one.
much.